Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps. Today I created a slimline Christmas card. It's a one-layer card using the Christmas Lights Vintage Gift Card Box add-on stamp set, and there is a coordinating die, but I'm just using the stamp set. So I have my slimline card. I am using a micro pen and I am just going to quickly draw the string for the Christmas lights. You can use any kind of pen. I just like to use this really light thin pen, and I did it towards the top of my card panel. This is trimmed down slightly smaller than an A2 size. I'm just going to use that rounder Christmas light because that shape is really fun to me. This card, you guys, is super simple, and we are going to color with Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. So this is on watercolor cardstock. I'm also going to do some gold heat embossing of my lights because I just felt like that made it a little bit more elegant. So I prepped my cardstock with a powder tool and I am inking up with Honeybee Stamps clear embossing ink. I'm starting in the center because I know there's going to be 5 lights. So I'm starting in the center so I can get a fairly even disbursement of my little lights here. I am making sure that they are touching where I drew the Christmas string, I guess, or the string for the lights. After I stamp a couple, I'm going to sprinkle on my gold embossing powder and heating that until it's melted, and then I can put this right back into my MISTI and I can finish stamping my other 3 lights. The 2 end lights, I do want them to go off of the edge because that does look good on your card design when things are not just, when your elements are not just floating in the center. So I'm going to ink that, sprinkle on my gold powder, and my heat tool is on the whole time because I want to make sure it's nice and hot so it has less warping to the cardstock. I did notice that like some watercolor cardstock, this is Bristol Smooth, does tend to warp a little bit easier, but once I was done with everything and I had it adhered down, you don't even know. Let's put that one in place. I do like to ink it up twice just to make sure I got a good, nice image for the embossing powder to adhere to. So that's the last image there. Let's sprinkle on the gold embossing powder and then heat that until it's melted, and then we can start coloring. So like I said, I'm using Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. I'm using Carmine Red, Persian Blue, Deep Green, Violet, Yellow, and then I'm using Ochre for the tops of the Christmas bulbs. So I have some water on my work surface. I have a dry paper towel. I'm just using a water brush pen, but I don't have water in it, so you can just use a regular paintbrush. I like to add a little bit of that color, dip my paintbrush in the water, tap it off one time on the paper towel, and then bring my paintbrush to my ink that's already on my image there. Then I can blend it out. I like to tap my brush off so I don't have too much water because I can always add more water. I want to make sure I don't add too much so it doesn't give the coloring a weird look. I don't even know how to describe it, but it just doesn't look great. But these are so bright. They really feel kind of like jewel tones. And this is so easy to do, but it's so stunning. It's such a simple card. It's a one-layer card, other than I do add some 3D embellishments. But as far as the sentiment and the images themselves, they're just all stamped on here. I think I mentioned that this does have a coordinating die, so this would also be cute with these die cut and popped up with dimension because I love a dimensional card, but I do think it's fun every once in a while to make a one-layer card. So that green is so pretty. That's deep green. Then I'm going to bring in some purple. This is violet. And as you can see, there's a lot of open white space because these colors are pretty saturated, so they will blend and give you a lot of color. And if I get too much color on my brush, I wipe it off before I keep coloring because I want to have some lighter areas and darker areas. So just natural shadows when I'm coloring. And then we have yellow here. This is the last one. And something that's really nice when you're coloring with like Zig markers, when you have that embossed edge, it's really hard to color outside of the lines. Doesn't mean you can't, but it just kind of keeps your color in. So I'm coloring with ochre for the tops of our little cute light bulbs. And then I want to have a sentiment. I am using the sentiment from the that Christmas Lights vintage gift card box add-on. It says Merry Christmas. I'm going to stamp that with the clear embossing ink and use some gold embossing powder. And I love, it doesn't say Merry Christmas, excuse me. It says Merry and Bright. And I'm going to stamp that right there towards the top. I love a good small sentiment. I think it's so, so pretty. My heat tool is on and getting hot. I'm going to sprinkle on the gold embossing powder and then again heat that. Then I want to add a few things to give this background a sparkle. So one of them is Honeybee Stamps Be Shimmery Watercolor. It's one of my favorite just products of all time. It's gorgeous. And I am doing a lot of splatters on the background. It's going to get on the light bulbs. It's going to get everywhere. But it has the most beautiful shimmer and shine when you move it in the sunlight or any kind of light. Excuse me, not just sunlight, any light. It's so stunning. And so I want this all over the background, but it does take a minute to dry. So, you know, don't try to stick it in an envelope right away. As you can see, I'm doing tons and tons of splatter. Then I thought I wanted to add a little something extra. So I'm using the Metallic Mix Pearl stickers and we're going to add that. But look at that shimmer and shine. I'm going to add some of those towards the top, coming down just a little bit, just some little extra sparkle. It's a shinier gold. And I love that these have different sizes. They already have adhesive on the back, so it makes it just a little bit quicker. Not that it's a big deal if it doesn't, but it's always nice. You can just pop those in place. And if you put it down gently without pressing too hard, it's really, really easy to move if you needed to move one out of the way. Now that patterned paper in the background is from the Holiday Wishes patterned paper. And I love this red and white stripe. It's just a classic Christmas to me. So I thought that would be a little fun extra thing to have around the slimline card. So that measures 8.5 by 3.5. And of course my little white panel is a tad bit smaller. So I'm going to add some adhesive to that. And I can pop this panel right in the center, and I'm being careful because it is not dry yet from all of that splatter, so I'm trying to be really careful where I press down, which is why I'm pressing down with my fingernails. Trying not to get my fingers into the watercolor. But this card is completely finished. I love those light bulbs. I think it's so, so fun. That vintage look is darling. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.